Hello everyone, my name is Aleksa from Aetherius, a mobile development company where we develop mobile apps for many different clients at the moment. And today my guest in the podcast is Charana. He's an AI expert, and I would say a person who is able to blend product and AI in the best possible way, which is really important nowadays with all of the AI tools emerging. So Charana, thank you again for being our guest here. Can you shortly introduce yourself to the audience?
Thank you so much, Alex. So, like Alexa said, I am an AI solutions engineer. I bring product and AI together, and I find how we can capitalize on it. But like every other engineer in the industry, I started 10 years ago with Java, and
Yeah.
I've been coding with Java, TypeScript, and then I fell in love with mobile development,
Mhm.
primarily on React Native. And like Alexa's company, now I've gotten into Kotlin as well, which is pretty fun. And I am mainly a AI consultant. So I consult on AI solutions for companies and try to help companies think with AI and
Mhm.
basically how to capitalize AI into their products or business or their internal processes.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's that's the best intro I can do. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Can you shortly also touch how was the transition between like mobile, as you mentioned, you fell in love with mobile, and then you kind of pivoted to AI. So what does your current day-to-day work look like? Well, what are the challenges you tackle on daily level?
Right. So just to give like I think everyone an idea on how anyone gets into this AI game.
Mm-hmm.
4 years ago, I got opportunity from a company who was starting a AI sales CRM system.
Mm-hmm.
It's an entire AI workflow for AI sales. So it's basically sales, but streamlined through AI. So I got the opportunity to become the lead engineer there, founding engineer, and I because of that opportunity, I was like, 4 years ago, AI was just coming up, and it was like creating bad videos, and everyone's like, no, AI is not going to replace anyone. At that
Yeah.
moment, I was like, you know what, it's okay, I'm going to make this jump because it was a huge jump from me where I was doing React Native, TypeScript, and backend tech on GCP, AWS, and other servers. So I was just on full stack developer, but heavy on mobile React Native and TypeScript on backend, right? And then jumped on to becoming this, getting into this AI space, and that's actually how I got exposed to AI. And I was lucky enough to start this 4 years ago. And from the moment I started using AI, and when you start building products, it's even one product, you kind of get the feeling you're like, all right, yeah, AI is going to become a huge thing in the future. And then what I basically I was there for I think 1.5 years, and then I became an independent consultant, and then
Mm-hmm.
I started consulting a lot of companies. Right now, my main consulting company is my full time thing is Baby Journey. So
Mm-hmm.
I work there as a AI solutions engineer, but at the same time, I am a full stack engineer there as well. So that's the beauty of it. Even that, I mean, just because that I build AI products doesn't mean that I don't use the AI tools to build the products. So I found ways to optimize processes day to day. So, like, I do have AI work within the company, but at the same time, I work on the mobile side or the backend or the servers or GCP work. That's because that AI and specifically Cloud Code enables me to do that. So
Mm-hmm.
because of that, and day to day, my work is very streamlined in a sense because of that. Where I have the luxury to work on my AI products, and at the same time, I can work on the actual product if there's any issues or anything that I can contribute on. So I would say at any given time, I work on minimum two things, maximum three things. So far, I haven't figured out how to go more than three things to work on the same time. So I mean, I understand back then we would just work on one thing, we focus on that. But now with how how AI has adapted itself into these development workflows, you can easily just have multiple parallel agents or workflows running. Then you can go. So my day-to-day looks like that, where I work on 2 to 3 things at the same time, and at the same time I just move across my ticket board or my work very fluidly. And there are times, of course, things go wrong where I sometimes don't even, like, I don't review what the AI puts. I just merge it and then it breaks. So like the human aspect of it is still valid, where I make mistakes. But from AI perspective, it has given me so much time. It has reduced the effort that I put on certain tasks and enabled me to work on things parallelly.
Yeah, thank you for the detailed overview. So you're pretty much in a really nice position since you started 4 years ago, as you mentioned before this hype and before all of these tools. So you have a broad understanding of how things work, and then as you mentioned, like on daily level, you combine AI work related to the product and actually using AI and Claude to do some full stack development, mobile development, backend development. So you're kind of combining the best of both worlds. And from what I understand, like being able to do that also and not just do the AI on the product in isolation can probably give you a better understanding of the full picture of the full solution, and then you can maybe better figure out where do you need to put that AI feature, how big of a benefit will that be. So correct me if I'm wrong here.
Yeah, 100%. That's what it is. I mean, just to add on to that, one more thing is that I myself is a very hungry person when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to tech, and I'm very
Mm-hmm.
passionate. So for me, it's mainly I love to touch so many things and on so many domains and so many areas where I love to just continue to know about these things so that I can stay on top of my mind with all these things. So it's sometimes it's very overwhelming. I understand that, and I understand sometimes people might not be able to do it the same way I do, because I have learned few things on how I can domain switch fast. So I just want to set the stage, like, you don't not necessarily have to do multiple things at the same time. It doesn't mean, but I'm just doing it because I'm a very anxious to passionate person. So I just want to know these things, and I just want to stay on top of it. Yeah.
And like having Claude run agents in parallel and you do the orchestration allows you exactly that, which was kind of
Yeah.
now when you think about it, it would not be possible even to imagine that, I don't know, 5, 10 years ago when we started our careers. So it's a really
Yeah.
exciting time. And one of the things I also want to touch with you shortly, because you mentioned that the code review process. So, what is your opinion about a lot of the code being AI generated? Then the other person from team members are maybe quotes afraid to review the PR because it has a lot of changes, and then we end up not willingly we end up in since we are producing a lot of code, we end up introducing new potential bugs into the system. So is that something that you experienced in your organization, and how did you maybe tackle that?
Right. So I'll take that question to answer in two parts. One is that I'll explain what you just said, like the problems that we had those problems. It's 100% valid, but early on. Now, the second part, I'll tell you how to think about it on fixing it. So that's
Mhm.
what we did, and it worked for us. So, yes, there were a lot of bugs. So when we started, I think last year, when GPT-4 was coding and Sonnet was coding, that is like
Mhm.
last year, before Opus 6 and Sonnet 4.6, both of those models, we had a model. Even before that model, there was a, I don't know exactly what the model was, but those weren't that great. So I was using Cursor initially, where Cursor has its own mechanism of making plans to how mechanisms of working and running orchestrations inside the IDE, right? So they used a lot of OpenAI. I used a lot of OpenAI models to achieve those things. Back then, I use those, I build things and I put it out. I do test end to end, but the edge cases don't get covered.
Mm-hmm.
And on my head, I was like, that's okay. Edge cases are usually covered by QA. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
And then down the line, it just kept getting worse. Like I kept like writing bad code on top of bad code. That is because one thing was that I wasn't prompting well and I wasn't setting expectation right. And then the other thing is that the AI does not have a good enough context window and didn't have thinking at that time, reasoning at that time in order to do things much more smart in a smart way. We have to understand what are the leakages and what are the edge cases, right? Down the line, if I fast forward uh, to the last quarter of last year, we got access to a lot of good tools. Reasoning came into play, and even Claude Code became the number one coding assistant tool. With that, the prompting has in like the prompting. I always tell people it's the same way. Imagine there's no product owner or product manager. You're just a developer, and you're telling another developer to build a feature. How would you do that? How would you communicate that? And imagine there's no product manager to communicate this. There's no person to shape, scope, do anything. How would you do it? And add anxiety on top of it. Be an anxious person as well. So that's how I think. I anyway have anxiety and I have it controlled in my own way where I meditate and all. But I'm just telling people to have a little bit of that, because what happens is you put things in very much detail and you set expectations right. Right? Detail, information, and expectations is what a good prompt is, end of the day. Because even if it's with humans, you would go say, hey, if I set the expectation correctly, then the output of that becomes the set expectation, right? So we learned how to do high expectation prompting with detailed information, and did context engineering, where context engineering was super important. And there was like a lot of other things, of course, we can discuss, but I'm just going to keep it short here.
Yeah.
And on the first part, yes, so we had all those issues. Second part, how I started solving it is by thinking, how what would in another 5 years coding would look like. And to
Okay.
me, and I've read a couple of articles also, is that coding is going to be like, it's not that you're going to code. We are not going to see code in the future. That's how it's going to be. We are not going to see code. What we will see is the end product, which means you need to have observability and a way to review things, right? So I was like, okay, if that's the future, then that means the future is mainly debugging and having monitoring, which is basically observability, right? So, and reviewing automated review process. And that's when I came across, I was like, okay, then if I'm not looking at the code, what do I look? Code reviewing. Now, we had a principle of where you have to keep it under 600 lines to single PR so the person can review it, right? But now this person becomes an AI. I came across Code Rabbit, right? Code Rabbit, installed it, configured it for a few months. Now it's running smoothly. It's reviewing better than a human. Now
Mm-hmm.
we don't involve humans so much on the review process. We get it done by Code Rabbit, and a human just checks very slightly on if the domain is aligned with the whatever that the feature or bug fix you have done, and it's very fast there. And then third thing is where we have observability. So whatever that goes out, we have observability for every step. We see everything on that flow, the data, the points, the triggering points, everything. So just to understand if something goes wrong, how it will work, and we can fix it. And the
Mm-hmm.
speed of fixing a bug has become so fast where you can do that using AI and a lot of other tools as well, non-AI tools as well, where you fix the turnover rate is really fast now. If a bug comes up, I'm able to fix it within an hour or 30 minutes. Or if it's small bug, under 15 minutes, and even go to production. So it's things like that where you have to think. So yes, the problem exists. Second part is what will it be in the future, and then you reverse engine from that, so that, because that's anyway the future is not like how 10 years ago, right? With AI, every day you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh, okay, the new model, oh, okay, something has gone wrong. It's just, it's fast, so might
Yeah.
as well prepare for it.
Yeah, really, really wonderful, wonderful perspective. Beginning of, I'll shortly touch on all of these three things which you mentioned. So, beginning of of prompting and like having the mindset where you're kind of like explaining maybe a little bit more junior team member what to do. So you will probably be expecting some output. You will probably define that output really well to make sure that the quality is there. And then you probably want to, as you mentioned, stay on top of that at least in the first few iterations to make sure that everything goes smoothly. So it's a really wonderful perspective, and I really encourage everybody to try it out, to just switch the mindset towards thinking like that when prompting. And yeah, prompting is becoming a pretty standalone skill. Like I see a bunch of jobs only for prompt engineers. So definitely a nice skill to have and to pay some attention with upgrading it on a daily level. And the second part, the code reviews. To be honest, we still haven't tried any of these tools. Code Rabbit. Now there is Claude recently also
Hmm.
published their own code review system. So we didn't try it, but I've been hearing a lot of good things about that, and that it's spotting the things that the human normally wouldn't spot because of all of the context. Because I know I'm coming up from engineering perspective. At some point when the code base is so huge, you cannot focus on like figuring out what does that code do interoperably with the other codes. So you just focus on that part, and then you completely miss the other context. Maybe you don't even switch to that branch and play around. So that's, I believe that the code review can easily be something which is left to the AI, as you said, with a little orchestration from the human side. So yeah, definitely. And to touch the last point about observability, actually, first time I'm actually hearing that from you, and that perspective of thinking where you don't kind of, you're looking at the problem not by I will dive into the code, but I will make the process like that. So we are tracking what's happening. So we are only considering things based on that metrics and steps we had. Or for example, you notice that some metric is not being logged at some step, and then you take care of it. And that's a really nice perspective. And mostly when you're thinking about the long run, as you said, 5 to 10 years from now, if you're thinking right, maybe from the current perspective, well, you will be like, okay, let's fix this. We have developers, let's fix this. But if you're talking about 5, 10 years, that is a really nice perspective. So thank you very much for sharing that with me and rest of the audience watching this podcast. I believe those three pieces of information will be super valuable. And following up on that, like we know that now every product needs to have some AI in it. So you started 4 years ago, where that was maybe not that big of a trend. It was starting. So can you tell me like some of the examples where some of the AI features, like AI decision mechanisms, etc., directly maybe improved the product, hyperscaled the sales. So something which is like an actually, I would say, usable AI feature. Let's call it like that.
I think I can just talk about the the interactive chatbot that was
Mm-hmm,
built for Baby Journey. So this is
mm-hmm,
when the chatbot hype was happening. uh, I was like, hey, let's like bring all the data inside the application into a one place where the user can just ask questions in a natural language and they find answers. When these
mm-hmm,
answers are basically, so if for the people who does not know, there is an app called Baby Journey, which basically it's for people who are pregnant and for people who have children up to 5 years and even more. If you can use the application, of course. So in that we have a lot of content, a lot of valuable information inside. So in this information, we um, basically it's like in articles, it's in different formats and different forms, right? So you can go inside the application and go through those things like this, like checklist and so on, and then like white noise to direct noise, so many things.
Mhm.
So what we did was we basically brought everything into one place through a chatbot where you can ask natural question and then the AI gives an answer by going through our own content, of course, so that we don't give information that is directly from the AI or the internet. And if we don't have an answer, we tell that we don't have an answer because we cannot give like information, medical information or anything like health related information like that. And I have this tool matching system where it goes and looks for, I would say, uh, content like article or tools or dietary advice kind of things inside the application, and it gives recommendations on what kind of articles you can look and so on. And that has worked out so well so far. And well, when we started, the latency was an issue. It took about 10 seconds to get something out, but with time the models got faster and we found much more ways to bring down the latency, and we did that. And it's functioning good now. We have switched the model to a much more intelligent model now. Latency is a bit high right now, but it's responding with better quality output, and that is something that we have currently built and we are continuing to work on it.
Nice, nice. That's a great example of a product which has its own database, own knowledge system, and then AI does some conclusions based on that. So it's a really nice thing, and I've seen that AI chatbots in many different applications where basically you're only decisioning based on the app and doesn't go outside to the outside world. Well, I'm curious to ask you about that. Like, are you still improving some things in that chatbot? Are you maybe not on a daily level, but on a monthly level? Are you doing some updates to the mechanism, or is it just like maybe switching the model and some fine tuning? So, how much effort is it for you right now?
I put quite a bit of effort, like at least once a month I put effort. That is just so that in a way that's my learning ground, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's like I implement new things to it, I test, I see whether it's working. So that's how I keep myself updated. At the same time, I keep the feature updated. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, I do like fine tuning, tweaking, and model switching, and trying new ways to figure out how to reduce latency and how to make it much more faster, because uh, it has to be faster, right? Like all these AI providers, it's quite fast. I mean, comparatively, it's not that fast. I understand, because I know a lot of tools have this thinking and reasoning systems. So we also have that. And yeah, I would say at least once a month, or sometimes more than once a month, I put effort into updating and bringing in new mechanisms. I would say sometimes it's not needed, but I
Mm-hmm.
do it so that I am also updated and I keep the feature updated. So that's
Yeah.
kind of the main thing. And something that I'm actually right now working on is always on memory. So there's a
Mm-hmm.
new mechanism called always on memory. It's baked into the ADK, so you can use it through ADK as well. And yeah, these days that's what I'm actually trying to see if I can integrate always on memory, because it will be much faster than a RAG system.
Nice, nice. So basically, you're combining two things: keeping feature up to date and just keeping yourself
Yeah.
sharp and up to date with all of the AI tools. So yeah, nice, nice, nice. And that we've talked about that chatbot, which is like really nice example of integrating AI into your system. But as you mentioned, you also work as a consultant. So what are the biggest pitfalls which you've seen in a team? They say, "Hey, we want to integrate AI into our system." So what are the usual things that go wrong in that process from your previous experiences?
Main thing for me is I underestimate the product or the company. I do that, and now I've learned how to not do that. Because as an example, I can say like I some like one of the consulting gigs I went in, and I saw the product on a UI level, and for me, it was simple enough. I was like, yeah, this. So they want to automate few processes inside the system. So I was like, that won't take much effort. And then I took the code base, I ran through my crawlers, and then I saw how complicated the system was. So
Uh-huh.
I jumped the gun even before I could actually go through the code. So now, as a consultant, I did that mistake and I've corrected it. And for the last 1.5 years now, I'm running in the same mode where I make sure to tell them any timeline or commitments I can tell after I see everything. So, because you can consume everything now with AI, you can crawl through documentation, crawl through code, even crawl through systems to understand how it works. So, because of that, it doesn't take weeks for you to understand something, it only takes hours. So I use that mechanism to now keep myself updated and give proper timeline commitments and even any commitment in that. So I would say that's the biggest pitfall for me, because other than that, everything else is just, if it's something to work on the system, you can, or if it's something to work with the people who are working there, it's processes. So I do process optimization as well. And process optimization is always tricky because it's human, not AI. And humans, we all have emotions. We are human end of the day, right? We don't want to work like a robot. We want to work like a human. So we just finding the sweet spot between how to do process optimization while considering that we are human and we have our limits and emotions is not a pitfall, but it is very tricky, and that has to be one of the trickiest things that I do in my business.
Nice, 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 nice. And with this like AI being also more and more popular, I have a feeling more apps will be way simpler when it comes to the UI and the interaction with the app, and then more of the logic will kind of be living in the not background, but living behind the scenes. So we are constantly seeing people pushing towards, like, I don't know, voice assistance, and just we now have open clause, so we are slowly switching away from that way of thinking about UI as we did previously, where every app was UI first. So I completely get that. And one other thing which I would like to discuss with you. So, you mentioned that you're doing a lot of observability monitoring, and the data is a big thing in AI and inside all of the organizations. As also, talking from my personal perspective, we're a company which is more than 4 years old now. And when we started, like, we didn't analyze the data that much. Our decisions were not data driven. They were more like some gut feeling which you have, and then you end up and do something. And can you maybe share from your perspective some decision which was data driven regarding AI, but did not quite turn out like as expected?
Right. Could you ask that question in a different way? Because I'm just trying to understand the question better. Can you like word it in a different way?
Yeah. So, like, you're basically what I tried to ask is, like, you have some data which is indicating that this AI feature would be super useful, or data indicating
Mm-mm.
that users drop out on this step, and then it would be good to integrate that feature. But in the end, the reasoning was a little bit and another reason, but the output after you add that feature and add that step is not what you expect it to be.
Right. Okay. I got it. So basically, data-driven decisions, right?
Yes, 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 yes,
So
yes.
so this has been there. I mean, right, that this has been there throughout the industry. Like data-driven decisions is like something enterprise level products do. Like if you look at companies like Spotify, they do a lot of data-driven decisions because their UI changes every year, right? But
Mm-hmm.
they do subtle changes that you don't also notice, but it becomes very super convenient to you. I know this because I read one of the use cases. I'm kind of, I would say, I'm in love with how product development happens in Spotify because I love it. How they move around things and they do things so that it's convenient to the user. And in that sense, I would say even in companies that I've worked, data was a huge thing. Like there is someone who always does data observability, but the
Mm-hmm.
main issue is like, back like 6 years ago, we had to build dashboards, right? Like you have to like have a big data solution and then have like all these we have queries to like big queries and everything. And then GCP came along where we use BigQuery, and then I was able to connect to Looker Studio, but I still had to write queries, and I don't even know how to write SQL queries or big queries. I'm
Yeah.
learning and I'm making a lot of mistakes and and I was like, sometimes some months there's like $200 charges on single dashboards, which is very unoptimized. But still we got outcome out of it. We saw what we want to see, and we were able to, the marketing teams or the product team was able to make decisions off of it, understanding that what features work and what doesn't, like you said. So but with I see like a lot of tools, a lot of AI data analytic tools.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a lot out there. There are few that I work with right now, and one thing that I've seen is there's right now in like this year, I've seen a lot of products showing promising outcome in this sector. Idea
Mm-hmm.
here is that you have your data. Yes, if you're a company that who's been running for last 10 years, 5 years, or even 2 years, you have a collection of data somewhere, right? So as
Mm-hmm.
an example, Google would give Google Analytics. The events are stored in on like basically buckets, and then you can sync it through BigQuery, right? So we can keep those as it is and connect these to tools like these AI data analytic tools, and then we can basically use them to query what we want to know. And it some products are like I don't want to talk about how those products work because I might give out their
Mm-hmm.
way of working, and I don't want to do that on this call because I don't think that's ethical. But uh, there are a lot of products that are out there that does like amazing jobs with and data analytic, and data analytics is going to be much more streamlined in the future. And I feel like GCP Google is also kind of getting ahead of it, where they have enabled their Gemini models right into BigQuery, and inside BigQuery you just have to prompt and they write the query and you can get the data out.
Mm-hmm.
They integrated that into Looker as well. So AI driven analytics right now is good, but this is for people who thought few months ago they tried it and it's not good and they dropped it. I would tell right now it's good. Please go
Mm-hmm.
try out these
Yeah.
products. Almost all the products have gotten to a good level because they have learned from their mistakes, better AI models, better context windows, and better way of solving, like better mechanisms, smart solutions, I would say,
Mm-hmm.
have come into play. And personally, I've worked with 3 products right now for data analytics, and all 3 are promising. And that
No.
was not the case a few months ago. So data-driven decision is mainly by AI-driven AI querying, AI NLP querying to understand your data and read your data. And there, I would say, if you're not collecting your data, just start collecting it. Don't worry about how to read it. Don't worry about that. If you can't take a data-driven decision because you don't have observability to a human level, human eye, don't worry about it. There will
Mm-hmm.
be some product out there which you can plug your data in and just query it.
Which
It'll
will
be there 100%.
Yeah, which will do that for you regardless of where is your data living. Is it a Drive, Google Drive, Notion, whatever? There will be a tool which will just pull it, and then you will be able to query it like any other. Nice, 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 nice. Happy to hear that progress around AI data analytic tools. To be honest, I didn't use them, but I will try them out in the next period. And yeah,
Yeah.
as you mentioned, if anybody tried it 3 months ago and listening to this to this podcast, give it another go. So yeah, nice. Okay, and when we're talking about metrics and AI, so when you're working on some AI feature, for example, chat for the baby journey app, what is the metric which shows you was that feature a success or a failure? Is this maybe a number of new subscribers? So how can you measure the metric whether the AI integration in your system in your product was a success or not? Because also people like hire you as a consultant and then they expect after they are integrated with AI to maybe at some organization probably I'm suspecting it's reduced costs for people management and things like this. For some other companies it's maybe how much that feature will bring additional revenue. So can you just share your experiences about that?
Right. Of course, I can't talk specifics about
Sure,
these
sure, sure, sure.
things because it's specific for companies. But I can give you an overall idea. There, basically, I mean, metrics are measured depending on the KPIs that you have for the company and for the product, right? Sometimes, if you take a step back, if you don't even know what your like KPIs, or if you don't know what metrics to go, even just simply feed your entire code base to a Claude code tool and ask. Don't think that the AI will give you wrong answers. Of course, it will give you wrong answers, but between that, there are right answers as well. So please use AI as much as possible to like reduce the effort that you put into understanding these things. And of course, we work with data analysts a lot on when it comes to metrics, because I'm not a data analyst, I'm not a data scientist, so I need some help on to get those optics as well. So I work with them closely on to understanding the metrics, on what kind of metrics that we should measure, and so on. Product feature wise, it's very generic. It's same way how it has been running for the last 10 years, but with AI you can get it much more faster. But if it's AI products, right, observability is super important, because right, very recently we implemented GenKit monitoring to monitor how our AI applications work. When I say applications, the workflows have RAG in it. It has embedding models in it. It has tool calling. It does parallel calling, like different tools, different AIs, so on. This gave us the ability to see time spent on those areas, and then it gives us a 50th percentile, 95th percentile metrics that we can get out of that, which we calculated and got, to see what kind of latency are we compounding, right? And what kind of areas cost us more versus what areas are costing us on time more, and how can we reduce that. So sometimes without those observabilities, you'll be like, okay, I'm going to optimize the entire flow, but it doesn't make sense. Maybe it's just the embedding model that you have to optimize. Swap it to a better model, increase your n values, also on. You can do something there. So on an AI product or AI feature level, you need observability onto each step of the AI process. It's very important to understand how you can optimize it. So at the same time, if you don't have any issues and if your users are growing, yeah, I mean, by all means, then don't have
Yeah,
observability. But the problem is, after some time, you will want more, right?
yeah,
That's how it is. You will want more, or you will want to be better, or be uh, less on latency. Then you need that. Then it'll be too late. So my advice is, have observability from day one. Like I explained earlier, that it's very important to measure the progress, because models change every now and then. Funny thing, I was using GPT 4o mini, I think, yeah. And then wait, let me check which model I was actually using so I can. Yeah, so GPT-4 mini I was using last year, and latency was quite high. And then I saw an article from one of the AI scientists in OpenAI. They discussed about how every time they bring a new model, they make sure their older models get the facet of speeding up. So they install the mechanism to that. So I was like, okay, I don't need to optimize the model now, because they might optimize it in the future, and my entire workflow time latency will go down. And that's exactly what I did at one point. I didn't touch the model. I did optimize code. I did optimize logic, but never the model. And the model itself optimized by the provider, hence brought my latency down. So there are like natural things that you just have to make sure it'll work. But observability is super important when it comes to AI products, and measuring metrics on product. I would say you have to listen to your product owners, to the company's KPIs, work with the data analyst, help the data analyst to understand how you can work faster with AI. And then when it comes to AI products or AI features, you definitely need to have the observability to its functionality level if you want to optimize it, because it sometimes whatever that you think on your head might not be the actual culprit.
Yeah.
So that's the case.
Nice, nice, nice. Wonderful, wonderful overview. Thanks for sharing. So we are again back to the observability, and generally the perspective which you shared is super interesting because we talked about observability. We talked about that with the AI, there is a lot of things happening in background, and your AI is probably communicating to other AI and other tools. So it can be difficult to detect, as you mentioned, the bottleneck or what you need to optimize further. And as you said, even if it works, maybe at some point you would probably need to upgrade, or your competitors might get closer to you. So you need to make some additional advantage, whether it's reducing latency, optimizing any part of the process. So in that particular moment, the observability becomes even more important. So yeah, anyone listening to this one, if you're doing AI, think about observability day one rather than later. So yeah, that's what I was able to get out of what you shared. So thank you again for sharing this. And when we're talking about, you mentioned a lot of AI observability tools, a lot of new tools from Claude, etc. Me personally, I'm sometimes really overwhelmed with, as you mentioned, I wake up in the morning and I see Claude doing this, I see OpenAI doing this. So, what is maybe your advice to me and to the rest of the people, like how to stay on top of all of these tools? Because it's physically not possible, I think, to try them all out and follow up on everything. So what would be your advice on this one?
Staying on top of all of these, is it?
Yeah, or maybe not not
Hmm.
not, not necessarily all of these, but maybe, yeah, it's dependent on the company you're in, situation you're in. But
Yeah, yeah.
basically, in general, if we're talking about a personal career, just to make sure that your career doesn't get influenced by AI, or you'll lose a job because you did not stay on top of the certain tools. Let's put it like that.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna answer it in a bit of a different way, because I'm not your traditional career-driven person. I am a bit different. Two parts. One, I would say, pick whatever you want to do. Pick something that you're actually passionate at and you actually love doing it. Like you wake up in the morning, it should be something that you can't wait to get into do, and that's something that I do mainly. I was Baby Journey was one of the companies that I absolutely loved working. And I was at Baby Journey first, and then I left to work with AI, to learn AI, and I came back to Baby Journey. And
Mm-hmm.
that is mainly because I absolutely love helping people. I know through the work that all of us in the company puts, that we will help someone somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives me that motivation in the morning. I wake up, I'm like, you know what, if I fix this bug, it helps a parent, it helps a kid that's going to come out to the world. And that joyous feeling is really fun for me, and that's kind of my motivation, to be honest, on these things. And that is just on the Baby Journey side, but I do other consulting work also, right? But that also, basically, I love the fact that I'm able to build things, and I love building. And I of course I have teams who build with me as well, but I at least orchestrate, and I have that passion on solving problems. When
Mm-hmm.
I was a kid, I always wanted to solve problems around me. Or when I see there's a war happening to, or any injustice, it annoys me.
Mm-hmm.
So that, I think that's where it stems from, the fact that I want to solve problems. And problem solving, critical thinking is something I learned in my life through universities, to school, to career work, and so on. And I love what I do. I actually enjoy it. I wake up and I look forward for it. and I even prepare for the day in a certain way where I am focused on the day. So that's one major thing, to be honest, because that compounds into researching.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you do something, you are not going to just do it and forget it. You always think about how can I make it, how can I improve it. Right now I see other products, they are like really fast. Why is mine not as fast? And then I search, I Google search, I learn about it, and then I'm on top of mind. Right,
Mm-hmm.
I'm basically, I'm aware of these things. I learn these things faster because I was curious, because I want to learn, because I built something on top of it. Even if you're not building on the same page, it's something that you can still research. It's just, it takes few hours, a few hours, even 1 hour a day, for you to, like, absorb all those things. And that's how I used to do it. But now I, inside Claude, so I have my Claude mobile app. I have connected multiple RSS feeds and news feeds, and at the same time I've connected certain authors into my collection. So when I wake up in the morning, I do a couple of things. I don't even check my Gmail, nothing, no email checking, nothing. I just ask Claude, summarize all the emails that I've gotten and anything important and actionable, and get me all the latest news updates from the feeds that I've curated. So these are things that I've curated. And I
Nice.
take like 30 minutes a day checking what emails I need to prioritize, what needs to be done there, what needs to be replied. And I write all the emails on by myself. I don't use AI for that, just so that I remember it. That's the
Mm-hmm.
gimmick there. And then the other thing is the news part. I stay on top of, because there's like years of me going and reading articles and so on. I have those sources. Now I funnel it to the Claude app, and then from there I just read it quickly and I summarize things and I learn. And that's how I stay on top of these things these days. But it's very important that you do something that you actually love and actually enjoy, and it's worth your time.
Nice, nice. Thanks for sharing it. So I will just shortly touch on both of these things. So regarding the first principle, doing something you love, I'm much on the same page. Coming from my personal experience, I've always loved building mobile apps. I've always loved switching between different products and in terms of this mobile ecospace, and that's how I actually started at Aetherius and how everything began. And with the same passion, I'm doing it right now because not much has changed there. I'm still really passionate, and it kind of helps you even when the things are not going as you're expected. You're kind of okay. I genuinely love what I do. Maybe the situation is not the best right now, but I will keep showing up every day, and the situation always gets better when you're doing what you love, and then you're really passionate about it. So I love that. I love that perspective. And coming up from this second thing, using Claude to curate the feed, that's something that definitely now you sparked my interest to try doing like that, something like that, because it's way more efficient than you running on LinkedIn or running to Twitter and
Yeah.
just checking a lot of use for you quote marks useless information. It's a really nice workflow. I'll try to integrate it into my daily life. It will save me some time for sure. So thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that. And
Yeah.
yeah, thank you, Charana. And to conclude this conversation with one last thing which I want to discuss with you. You mentioned that we had a couple of talks before this podcast, and a lot of times you mentioned that you try to learn people how to think with AI. So
Yeah.
can you for now conclusion of this meeting, can you share with me and the audience what does that mean? How do you think with AI? What are the steps to do?
It starts with trust, building trust with AI.
Okay.
A lot of engineers don't trust the output that comes from AI. They read line by line,
Okay.
and then you're like, you're spending the same time you would spend writing the code. You would like, save at least only 10%. But something that I've learned by making a lot of mistakes is to trust AI. I've made a lot, like security issues to bugs. Yes, I've done it, everything. But now I'm at a state where I'm not worried about the output because I prompt correctly. I set expectations right, and that's the thinking, right? Because in the future we'll start appreciating and we'll start believing and trusting AI more onto doing our day-to-day things or even things. Right now, you've seen there's this that I think it's called Neo, the robot.
Oh yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah, yeah.
maybe I got it wrong, but that
Yeah, I
the
think
robot who
it's
does
new.
household things,
Yeah.
right? We all know it won't do the best, right? It can't go cook like really good dish for us, but it can still pick up your laundry, adjust your house on certain levels, or even put the laundry into a bin. That is still a 20% effort reduction. Now the question is it worth the $10,000 you're spending? That I don't know. That depends on how you see the world. But it's the idea here is that spend a bit of money, spend a bit of time on finding to automate these processes
Mm-hmm.
before the world comes and gives you the tool saying, hey, this is the tool to now automate your emails. Say this is so, because don't wait till that comes, because if you wait till that comes, the gap between you and AI becomes really far, right?
Mm-hmm.
So funny enough, I think Alexa and me, we have been in the industry for the last 10 years, and um, we were there before the AI
Yeah.
coding boom came up, and now we are here even after, and we are using it. We are on top of it, right? So we have this both. See, we have left and right both. Basically, the sweet spot for this AI, because we are not too far away from AI. But in the future, it will be the case. Even new engineers who are coming up, they become AI solution engineers who might not even look at code. To be honest, it's more on observability and review. Where when it comes to normal people as well, not when I say normal, it's not non-devs, where they will have to use AI to even write an email. You don't even look at an email inbox. Like you
Mm-hmm.
might just drop a message on an app saying that, hey, reply to this email. That's
Mm-hmm.
it. You won't even tell what to reply. It'll come to that. So before that, I would say learn how to do that. Learn how you can build it, because there's enough and more tools at your hand. Even on your phone, you can build these tools like agents using Claude to Gemini Gems to ChatGPT GPTs, so on, right? So learn that. That is the way of thinking. That is what I always tell, and I tell this in much more length in workshops. But
Mm-hmm.
the short as I can keep is that please go learn and try out how to automate your day-to-day work. And that's the new ways of thinking. That's I call legacy thinking. When you don't use AI to reduce effort, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
talking about using AI to put weird masks on your pictures, and or like make we like do videos. And I love making videos on my car, right? So I just I take a video of my car and I tell it to put that on a racing track or something. So
Yeah.
instead of doing that, that's not a effort reduction. That's something that you do at leisure. I'm talking about effort reduction. Effort reduction is basically even responding to normal emails, or doing code reviews, or even consuming your news. You can bring it down to 20 or 10 minutes with using AI. So that's the reducing effort automation I'm talking about, and that's the new age thinking I'm thinking about, and I talk about in workshops.
Nice. Nice, nice. So definitely everything starts with trust, as you said. I'll share a bit of my personal experience about that because I was, as you mentioned, there before the AI. Then I'm here now, still swimming in that ecosystem. So I was really skeptical about AI at first. To be honest, with I didn't have a lot of trust in it, and then multiple times someone from work we are experiencing some issue and I'm like, yeah, we need to fix it, we need to dive deeper into the code, we need to do that. And a lot of times somebody was just like, or we could ask the AI. And I'm like, but yeah, he would not know the answer. This is really complex issue. He doesn't know how to handle it. And always 100% of the times we spit it to the ChatGPT, Claude, whichever, and they bring us the correct answer. Maybe not on first prompt, but just I don't know. In under 30 minutes, we were able to solve all of these issues. So that moment after a few times was where I was like, okay, now I trust. now I trust this AI to do this work for me. And you mentioned legacy thinking, and that's something that I really loved hearing more about, because it's really important to adapt to the world of tomorrow, as what you said. And I don't know if you saw that graph on LinkedIn, like how many people are there in the world, and there are the dots, and how many people heard about the AI, and how many people are using it. So it's, I don't know, even if 2-3% of people at the moment, when we're talking about the whole world, so devs, non-devs, everybody is using AI. So it's an encouragement to people. As you said, it's still early, so you can still have all of these tools. You can try out to build something, you can try to get comfortable with it, and then over the next 5-10 years, as you mentioned, you're not waiting for someone to give you something and say, hey, this is the AI automation for that, please use it. You will be really comfortable with that. So that is a wonderful perspective of things. So yeah, if someone from the audience wants to learn more about this, they can probably reach out to you directly on LinkedIn, right? To And
Yeah.
then yeah, you can probably discuss with them further. So with that being said, we're concluding today's episode of the podcast. So I would love to thank you, Charana, once again for spending this time with me. It was really valuable, really nice perspective on the AI. So thank you very much for this.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for giving me the stage to talk about this and yap about this for an hour, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much, Charana, again, and yeah, for rest of the audience, we'll see you in the next episode of the podcast. Thank you very much, Charana, again, and bye bye.